Hello and welcome to Superhero Chicken Fest Episode 8. Today we talk about the Joker and movies the Joker is in, and as far as I can tell, there aren't really very many spoilers. But, am I trustworthy? That's for you to decide. We're also sponsored by S-Cells. You want to go Super Saiyan? Get yourself some S-Cells. What? That's the wrong word. Sorry, ignore that. I was confused. Enjoy the podcast.
Superhero Chicken Fest!
Love it.
Hi everybody, welcome to Superhero Chicken Fest episode, I'm gonna say 7. I don't know if that's right.
Oh, great.
But that's about as close as I can get.
You didn't even have to say a number.
I'm Kyle. I'm here with Allison.
Hey.
And John.
John.
Yeah. It's just us three today, and we're going to be talking about the Joker. John's back with us here in San Antonio. He actually has been for months, but he hasn't been on anything because we haven't been making anything. Since we're having him on the podcast, and it's about superheroes, we decided we'd do a Joker episode because John is specifically a Joker fan, and probably is the only one of us that likes DC characters specifically.
I'm not a big fan of DC heroes, but they have some of the best villains.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
I've personally never been much of a DC fan, and so don't have any real I'm not really partial to the Joker, and I don't think you have any particular.
I might be slightly impartial to the Joker,
yeah,
if anything.
but
I wouldn't say I'm far on one end or the other, but I usually don't. It's kind of the Punisher thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like the people I know that are in love with the Joker minus 4 are some of my least favorite people.
That's actually what it is to me.
Because they just...
Any opinion I have on the Joker is actually an opinion I have on most Joker fans more than anything.
You know what? I've pinpointed it down. The Joker thing kind of did the fedora thing, which is that it's totally cool if you're into the Joker in the same way that it's totally fine for people to like fedora hats, but the movement got ruined. And it's not like every individual person's fault, but just enough people joined the bandwagon that were just terrible people that it just killed it before it even had a chance to thrive.
The Rick and Morty fan base kind of got a bit toxic.
Oh yeah,
they're all kind
absolutely.
of the same group usually too.
Yeah, they are.
But it's okay because we have our own group of this too. It's Doctor Who fans and everything else that they like. So they ruined that all for us.
I think the thing is with the Joker is kind of interesting is the people that tend to be a bit toxic are the people who like the Joker not as a character, but as someone that they agree with.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the Joker naturally, but I think as a character, he is super interesting.
Okay.
Totally
And also very in-depth, and at least for the time being, until they are maybe ruining it soon, his origin is completely unknown. He doesn't have a real origin. We know that he fell in a vat of acid, not including the Dark Knight Joker. But most of the Jokers, they fell in a vat of acid that bleached his skin and all this stuff. But as far as his real identity and his origin and all that, completely unknown, and I think that is really interesting.
Sorry. No, I actually completely agree. So you're not a fan of the new Joaquin Phoenix idea?
No, I am not. Not very much. I think trying to do the Joker's origin is kind of kills the allure of the Joker. That's always been the big draw of him, is that they've managed to
keep him shadowy.
Yeah, keep him. Yeah, it keeps him mysterious.
So this is actually the topic that we thought of, which is the Joker.
I'm gonna
as far as I was looking up some versions of it just on my phone to confirm this beforehand, but he's actually depicted. He varies a lot depending on who's writing him as a character, which I think is interesting because Spider-Man and everything that he shows up in is basically the exact same guy. And so are all of his villains, aside from some costume variations or something.
Yes.
And there's lots of other characters that sort of do the same. Even Batman is mostly the same, except for that one time he was Adam West.
But does this just mean that the Joker is a poorly written character?
I just think it means that the concept of the Joker is one that people find very interesting and like to explore in different ways. And so there's lots of different versions of the character that exist that I think are all, or most of them are good. They all can be good, but they're all very different and I think appeal to different types of people.
But your Spider-Man example.
There's Jokers that are in other media that aren't called the Joker. It's the concept of the hyper-intelligent person who's the hyper-intelligent villain who sees the world as his plaything because he's so intelligent, and at the same time, and because he's so intelligent, manages to stay one step ahead of his pursuers.
Yeah,
that you have it's your Joker, it's your
Dr. Draken from Kim Possible.
Dr. Draken. What? No,
that was just for Ian.
That's like an anti-Joker.
That's for you, Ian.
Well, there's the original version of this actually. I think is
Palant from Castle. I believe it was Castle.
Sure. I was going to say Moriarty, actually. Like, I think the original archetype version of this is Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. Oh. Which I think is what
exactly.
I believe is what they were going for when they made the Joker in the first place, because Batman was like Detective Comics, like he came from that. I think it was, but they were trying to go for that kind of relationship between the characters, where you have this recurring rival character, like villain, that can keep coming back over and over again.
Yeah. The Joker, the key ingredients, all you have to do is you have to resemble the Joker by making him pale. That's pretty much the only visual requirement, honestly, that they've really kind of remained consistent with.
That's true. Green hair is common.
It's not required.
But yeah, I guess it's not in every version.
The laugh, and then also the him being hyper intelligent.
Yeah.
Or sorry, hyper sane. That is, you got those three ingredients. You got yourself a Joker. No matter how else you play him, you can make him dark. You can make him lighthearted. You can make him.
I think another key ingredient too is that he doesn't usually do the fighting himself as much, right? Like he's
a wimp.
He's the mastermind behind things, but he's not the one like shooting people.
Yeah,
he's not going toe to toe with Batman ever.
The Joker, the Joker always very rarely ever actually fights the Joker, or actually fights Batman directly. And anytime that he does, it's because he's lost. He's backed into a corner. Things did not go the way he planned.
Yeah.
And that's his last resort. One comes to mind is I can't remember the name of the video game, but there's one. One of
the Arkham ones.
One of the Arkham games. Joker's like, he said he's backed in a corner. He's out of ideas supposedly. He's about to lose. He's like, and then he just manages to trick Batman for just a second, enough to stab him and get away.
The topic we're kind of going for is like, basically like a workshop, kind of like, how would we do the Joker? Like, what do we think is the best variation of it? Like, if we had to write the Joker into something that we would create, what would that Joker character look like? And you can you can obviously draw from previous depictions of the Joker, because some of those are, I'm going to, because I find some of them more inspiring than others.
Yeah. Right. I think John should probably start, because he has the most, he'll hit closest to what already exists.
Well, I think it's really interesting, because he just listed a thing, like the list of what makes the Joker, and I probably would have gotten rid of all four of them.
Wait, really?
Like just thinking, but I want to hear like your Joker formula, right? Making him like, making him perfect, right? Kind of the best.
A perfect Joker. A perfect Joker is a Joker that fits thematically with the story they're trying to tell, and fits well enough to the voice actor or actor's personality. Like,
actually, that's a pretty good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah. If you have someone trying to play a character they aren't really supposed to play, or the character you're trying to make the Joker, but he doesn't really fit your story. He seems out of place, and it doesn't really fit thematically. Then that makes a bad Joker. But I think any Joker, as long as they play true to their strengths, maintain the stuff that's important, and fit it into the story properly, I think it's very good.
I have a question then. So would Jim Carrey be a good Joker?
Well, Jim Carrey was already the Riddler.
He was the Riddler at one point. Who is
I know.
a worse Batman villain, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
riddle me this.
I know he was the Riddler, but would he be a good Joker?
Yes, but he'd have to be a Jim Carrey Joker, I think is the point. Like there's a certain kind of Joker that Jim Carrey would be that is not anywhere near Heath Ledger Joker.
Jim Carrey Joker would be a lot less of a Heath Ledger Joker and a lot more of a Mark Hamill.
So then what is the
like
right
the Mask
Joker? Basically. Yeah, like the Mask. Yeah.
So then I guess for a better question for you then, since that's a really good point, is what is the right story setting for the best kind of Joker,
or for your favorite?
Personally,
kind of Joker?
So personally, I very much love psychological horror. I really love that aspect. I think it's probably why I like the Joker so much, is because he uses psychology.
Yeah.
To manipulate his victims, and sometimes technology if it's more of a cartoony kind of setting. But he's a lot more reliant on other people being predictable.
So like the Joker belongs in like a psychological thriller / horror kind of variation, right? Like
right, but he's also, that's the funny thing, is that the Joker, he's unnerving. He's a whole cast unto himself, because he's unnerving if done right, and he's also his own comedic relief. Because he's so dark and villainous and also funny and kind of playful, he ends up being his own foil. And that's really kind of unique to him, I think.
I picked mine.
Oh yeah.
In that I'll do mine last, but that made me
okay.
As far as like actual actors, I think Heath Ledger's really good. Rest in peace. He was a great Joker.
Yeah.
But in his own way, it was a lot more brooding and dark, and he kind of played with the laugh. He never actually straight up laughed. He kind of did the ha ha he he.
Oh right, yeah.
Kind of mocking the previous Jokers, which I think was great.
Yeah, good point.
And but as far as voice wise, Mark Hamill's probably my favorite.
Oh sure.
Very good. Behavior wise, I can't remember off the top of my head the guy's name, but the Joker from the Red Hood.
I don't think I've heard of or seen that.
The Red Hood is an animated Batman movie.
Okay.
The Joker in the comic books was the Red Hood. But in this, I believe he was also the Red Hood. I can't remember exactly. The whole plot's not really coming back to me, but in it, it's a lot darker. The Joker straight up kills Jason Todd with a crowbar.
Oh, he's the one that murders the Robin that everyone hated. Is that what you're...
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah, okay.
Well, I don't know if everyone hated him, but...
That's what Ian always says. I don't know.
Jason Todd... I'm not going to spoil it, but yes, he essentially murders Jason Todd with a crowbar.
Okay.
In a basement, and Batman doesn't get there in time. And it becomes this whole thing where that Jason Todd becomes Nightwing.
Oh, okay.
If anyone's seen the comic, it's been 40 years. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, come on. There's no spoilers for comic books anymore.
You don't die when you get beaten to death in a comic book, Allison. Come on.
Okay, you're right.
Anyway, so for the most of it, it's presumed he's dead. And he comes back as Nightwing, and he has this whole thing with Batman about Batman not wanting to kill anyone. Like, why is the Joker still alive? He killed me. And why is he still alive?
Interesting.
And it becomes this whole thing, and the whole time, this is one thing I really love about the Joker. This is where I think his personality comes into play really well. Is the Joker manages to find a way to make everyone lose. They're all about to blow up because of Jason Todd. He is going to blow everyone up if he doesn't kill the Joker. And the Joker tries to make him blow everyone up. Him, the Batman, and him. And he's like, I love it. Everyone still loses. And he that's just so much. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He does not care.
Yeah. No, he's definitely like, he is always truly portrayed as like the chaotic evil, like cornerstone, right? Like on the alignment grid, the chaotic evil is the Joker.
Wasn't he just like true chaotic? Because like it's not so much that he is evil, I guess, but he doesn't have evil motives. He just does things for the sake of insanity. I guess he is evil though because he is someone's like foil villain, so he has to have a little bit of villain. But
I would actually disagree with that. I think he's not actually chaotic.
The
Joker very much knows what he's doing. That's kind of his thing. Is to everyone else it seems chaotic, but that's because they don't know his next 5 steps that he already knows.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
I would honestly say he's a lawful. Well, not lawful. What's the other? Is lawful neutral?
Just neutral, I guess.
So I'd say he's a lawful evil. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. He's a lawful evil.
I don't want to like diverge into D&D tangent charts, but lawful is usually seen as like organizational. I think is what it is though. Like Nazis are lawful evil. Joker is definitely not like he has a plan, but he's not. He's not by the book, I would say. Like he's
okay. Then, he's not.
His goals are chaos generally, right? Like he wants.
He wants chaos. Well, he wants everyone to realize how. Look, not every time. This isn't really required for the Joker, but generally he wants everyone to realize what he already knows, is that supposedly in the lore, I'm not saying this is actually how the world is, but that everything's pointless. You're all running around, living your lives, and it's going nowhere. You're all gonna die. Just the general pessimistic kind of mentality.
Yeah.
That kind of I think is what allures a lot of toxic people to him, as far as people who idolize him. And I think is also probably a pretty big basis for the Rick and Morty fan base as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, that makes sense.
That kind of destructive mentality, though, is not.
So if DC Studios came to you and they were like, John, we want you to make the next Batman movie for some reason, we drew your name out of a hat and it's your job. What do you do to make the Joker in that movie? What is your version of the Joker? Who do you cast?
Joker.
Well, you're gonna say Will Smith because the only actor you know, but.
Oh my God.
Starring Will Smith and that chick from Miss
A black
Congeniality.
Joker. That would be interesting.
That would.
It hasn't been done yet. A
But
female
would it-
Joker's kind of been done because of Harley Quinn, but she's
We'll get to that.
not quite.
I know we'll get to that.
She's not quite the Joker. She's more of Joker's pawn because she's not hyper sane.
Yeah.
Because she's
Well, so what do you
nothing.
do as the Joker? What is the John Joker?
The John Joker. Ooh. Well, I don't know about casting, but I do know they would to fit my story, it would be an actor that would be able to pull off being able to be light and funny, but sinister, like switch to sinister. Like I don't think they need to necessarily be the same, like both at the same time,
Sure.
but very much be able to switch. And I think that switch is what unnerves people because
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
playful
The-
and
the
you start to
unhinged
like
kind
him.
of
Yeah, you almost start to
feel.
like him. Like, oh, he's kind of funny. He's the charismatic guy. And then you realize this guy is... Can I cuss?
Yeah.
This guy is fucked.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is not in the right place. Like, I would want it to be like if people who for some reason, because they've been living under a rock, did not know what the Joker was or who the Joker was, would just be caught off guard.
Okay.
Like, if his first line was funny and his second, or, just playful, and his next line was, like, think like, I can't think of anything.
See, I think we probably went to totally different places though, because what you're talking about to me is like, is a boy I know, like genuinely. It's the guy who is like handsome, funny, smart, and everybody likes him. But then like just suddenly someone says something and you just watch him like freak out. I don't know if you guys have ever had these types of experiences,
Freak out?
but I've been at a party with like this guy that I've met this type of person, I guess, who's just like really chill, very charismatic, super kind, super funny, super nice. You really like him, and then somebody says something, like you could say something like I'm trying to think of like a good example, but it would basically be like, oh, you could spill your glass, right? Like
They just
on
have like
the floor.
certain things that set them
That's-
off. Or
But then
something,
they,
right?
but then,
That's
but then they
different,
like,
though.
but then they stand and then they're screaming and then they're freaking out and then they're apologizing like 2 seconds later, and that's kind of
I
like
know someone like that. But
yeah,
anyways,
no, that's what my mind went to when you're talking about that. That like
No.
person who can jump back and forth is that kind of person in real life.
Not like in a bipolar way. Very much antisocial, awkward. Not necessarily. When I said charismatic,
You didn't actually.
I didn't
You
really
said
mean.
You said light and funny, and so I was going to ask you: do you mean light and funny to only himself, or to people who like kind of flow with that type of thing, like that dark grittiness, or does he come across light and funny to the audience?
More like light and funny to the audience. Like
Okay.
not necessarily to himself.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if that's really a good description though.
Sure.
More like a.
There's a lot of pausing in this episode. I just want to.
There is. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in.
Sometimes you need a good.
I'm gonna jump in a
5-second
little bit
pause
with
to
my
think.
opinions on this, and we'll kind of work our way back around. We'll talk about what makes the Joker, and then we'll go into like what our
Let's just
Joker
do
movie
like
looks like.
quicker versions of like the Jokers we would make real quick, because you've talked about you want like psychological, kind of like messing with people, and then sort of the unhinged switching back and forth kind of thing between
Yeah.
like being funny and being sinister, basically, right?
Yeah.
I know you have a very specific version of the Joker that you would make, because you've
That's
talked
really
about
interesting
it
because I don't know
before.
No, we've talked about how I would fix the current Joker, like how I would make the Joker like kind of a character, and so it's
No, you
probably
talked
gonna.
about your female Joker idea, which I think is actually really interesting.
I do have a
assume that
female
would be
Joker idea.
your-
That's not really what I was going to talk about.
Okay.
Though.
I mean more like, well, okay, so I guess here's a good example. Like,
The female Joker idea was how do you marry Harley Quinn and the Joker into a character that is
Right.
actually good? This
But
is
I
kind of a
thought it
different
made a really
question.
interesting version of the Joker that doesn't actually violate any of the the Joker requirements that we've already talked about.
It doesn't, but I'm gonna violate all those requirements in my
Okay.
in my
Fine, go
discussion
for
about
it.
the Joker. So things I hate about the Joker is what I'm gonna start with. One, the super sane thing, that like hyper intelligence thing.
Yeah.
Hate that. Reminds me of a fedora. Like just like I pictured the only person that says like I'm just a super smart person that knows too much and it hurts. Just fedora.
It is just a really edgelord kind of description. It's hard to get
It's
around.
hard to. It doesn't mean that it is that way, but like my brain can't like get over how you make that character well. Except for Heath Ledger, I think they nailed that in terms of like someone who clearly knows more than everyone else. But even still, I think it's too tricky, and I don't think it's a good description. I kind of just would.
Well,
personally, I would throw that out the window. Second
Sure.
thing that I hate about Joker is Batman.
okay,
Joker-
I can agree there.
Solo Joker movies, or Joker and his gang, or
Yeah.
Joker and his backstory. Maybe, I don't know, because that's gonna happen. We're all gonna know what we think about that soon. But just get rid of Batman. He just ruins it. Make someone better. Do something better. Joker is so much more deserving of anyone else. And then 3, the other thing I hate about the Joker is Harley Quinn. Get rid of that. Don't like that.
Okay, so Harley Quinn, funny, here's an interesting backstory on Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Quinn was actually not made by the creators of the comic books. She was actually a fan-made character that ended up
That
getting...
makes so much more sense.
Yeah, doesn't it?
I think she's actually a good piece, and I know, like, just gender aside, I get the whole romance thing. That was kind of ham-fisted in there. But
Sure.
just in general, a good role that she does play is she gives... kind of a way for the audience to see the negative impact of his philosophy on other people.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because she is not hashtag Joker Harley Quinn love. No,
Hashtag
that is
no.
just do not strive to have a relationship like that.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
Well,
but that's the entire point. She is this person who is already vulnerable, got caught in a vulnerable spot, and ended up kind of getting Stockholm syndromed into following this man who is abusive, manipulative, and uses her for crime, and then she's in too deep.
Yeah. No, I get all that. But what I hate about the Joker is in fact Harley Quinn, because what it does is make Harley Quinn a character, and she's garbage. So just get rid of that. Just
Harley Quinn's not necessarily a garbage character. I don't think you've seen enough
I have
Harley
seen
Quinn
too
to know
much
that.
Harley Quinn.
Have you seen the animated Batman series?
I watched it as a kid, but I would argue that no, I
You
haven't
watched it
really
as a
seen
kid.
it.
It's not for kids.
I know it's not for kids. I mean, it was on the television when my parents weren't around, but they didn't know because it was Batman. But no, I have seen clips of it, and I know of that character. I would agree she is the best version of that. But even still, just her existence is bad, and her writing is always bad, and her backstory is bad, and then her future story where she like turns into a lesbian, better, still bad. I don't like it.
Wait,
So anyway,
so why is it bad?
why is
You
Harley
just
Quinn
said
bad?
it's bad, but you didn't say why.
Oh, I think Harley Quinn is one of the most tragic female characters ever written.
Absolutely.
Not tragic in that like she is tragic in that she is like if writing could be described as a tragedy, her writing is a tragedy.
Right, why?
Anyway, well, that's a different podcast, and I've already gone over it a little bit, but I want to go back to the Joker thing. So, no Harley Quinn, no Batman, no Super Saiyan stuff, or a lot of sane. Because it just sounds like Super
It always
Saiyan.
just sounds like Super Saiyan, actually. It's
No,
just Joker with glowing yellow hair.
yeah,
I believe I
Get rid of that.
I
Don't like
believe
that version.
I believe the term was hyper sane.
Hyper
in the
sane.
comics or something
Hyper
like that.
sane is better because
That's
it
more
breaks it up better.
distinguishable, yeah.
Yeah, hyper sane. So I would honestly scariest version of Joker I've seen. So one, I think he should be terrifying. That's just my thing. Like not necessarily horror movie terrifying, but like if I want it to like resonate in people's soul that this dude is like haunt your dreams kind of freaky. I would make him like a really kind of with you, like psychologically terrifying. But I think the way you get psychologically terrifying across is to actually like draw into realism a little bit, because like, you know, if you like pop out from the shadows and haunt me and stuff, that's scary, but I'm gonna forget about it in like 2 weeks.
Right.
If you remind me of, you know, like a crazy, you know, serial killer-esque type dude, or I don't know, like my ex-boyfriend or something, then it's gonna stick around a little bit, right? Like if you take these
feel more
elements,
personal, kinda.
yeah, it should, but it should feel personal to everyone. He should be like this combination of characteristics that everyone has deemed as terrifying because they've run across it. Things like creepy blank stares, or like lack of expression but still with the laugh kind of thing. Like these things that just make him come across as like unnerving, like you had mentioned. And that's probably how I would do it. He would look relatively normal. I mean, not like a nobody on the street necessarily, but none of the makeup, none of the hair. He would just probably look like a
He would have
schlubby
to have
weirdo.
white skin, though.
He could be white, yeah, that's
Like,
totally
I mean,
fine.
not like white, like race-wise, but like bleached.
Yeah, I mean, we're still
Sure,
talking
yeah.
about like comic character, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's
in our
totally
weird
fine.
scenario, studio's hiring you to make the movie. You still have to make it about the Joker in
Yeah,
a
no.
recognizable way.
That's totally fine.
Right.
He still fell in a vat of acid. All of that works still.
Sure.
That's not, you know, super important. Just in terms of like how his characteristics come across.
Right. I think, honestly, I think Jared Leto
I fucking
did an
love that version of the
outstanding
Joker.
Joker.
She actually really likes that
He's
one
my-
a lot.
he's my
honestly,
favorite version,
The
but-
worst thing that movie did was cut. He had
His-
so much. He
I
had
know.
so much more.
Completely
like,
agree.
They should have just left it being longer.
Yeah.
Or cut the rest of the movie, because
made
honestly,
it a Joker movie.
Yeah, just made it a Joker movie. I think they would have blown out the box office if they had a lot more Joker, because it was weird that they used him as a selling point. He was on the cover of the magazines and stuff,
Yeah.
and then he was barely in it.
He was just a side character,
yeah,
pretty
it
much.
was like, not even like he was literally a plot device at most.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, so I
should have been so much more Joker.
I completely agree that the Suicide Squad Joker is my favorite by far. And I would say that his scariest moments are actually the ones that are less cartoony. Like, it's not scary when he like electrocutes the side of Harley Quinn's head. That's not a thing. No one does it. I mean, it doesn't like resonate as like, ooh, spooky dude.
Yeah,
well, I'm
no,
sorry. It resonates as exactly that. Ooh,
It
spooky
does.
dude.
That one
but
and
like,
him riding on the helicopter with like the machine gun are both like, that's like cartoon Joker.
it's fun though.
It's fun.
It's fun. It should
But
stay
you're
in
talking
there.
about like at the beginning when he's like in the club with the other
Yeah, when
the
he's
other
Yes.
mobsters,
when
right?
he's like, yeah, or when he's driving the car and you can tell that Harley
Oh,
Quinn
yeah.
gets kind of freaked out, and the dude just doesn't care. And it's not because he's choosing to not care. He's lacking everything that a human needs to ever care about anything.
The Joker has a lot of issues, and I think the fun part about that movie is when he had all the objects laid out around him in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly, meticulously placed.
Yeah.
Like he took the time to do that just so he could laugh in the middle. That's like such a Joker thing.
See that?
Because he had it all perfectly. He didn't just take them and just like spread them out like in a furious rage, like and throw it all around and then lay in the middle and like laugh like some sort of maniacal madman. He took the time to specifically place those perfectly
Yeah, no.
because he is insane and very meticulous, which is why
Yeah.
he's able to plan out things 6-7 steps ahead.
right.
See, like, if I could take that and kind of twist it into more of what I'm talking about, because I agree that it's good, but, like, it's not quite relatable enough. Like, we all know somebody who's, like, OCD. So it's, like, on the right path of being, like, the relatable kind of creepy, you know, that sort of, like, you know, it's... There's an element that you could really, like, up the creep factor in for being, like, that
Right.
OCD to just do that and then just laugh in the middle of a circle. But it would be something more like...
Joker's not meant to
like,
be creepy, though.
Well, he is meant to be
Her
creepy to
version
me.
is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But like it would be. I think that scene might better be conveyed. I haven't thought about it too much, but like if it's a home or something that has absolutely nothing in it besides those things, with all of them meticulously laid out, like pointing inwardly, and like if someone walked through it, like something more that like resonates. I don't know if you've ever had a gun pointed at you, but it's the worst. Like just in terms of like you just feel like your body goes white kind of because you saw your like life flash before you. So something that kind of that people look at him and resonate with a feeling of being like completely like creeped out
It's like,
or
it needs to be
alone
familiar
or
enough that it can be unnerving. It sounds like is what
Yeah.
you're trying to say. Like it needs to be something that you like connect with in enough of a way, but then something is just off in the right way that it's
Exactly.
like
I
it
think
just,
that
it just
was-
strikes that like that nerve in you that's like, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be around this person, like what happens
Right.
kind of in real life when you're around people that just give you really bad vibes.
That's probably what I would draw from, because I think the hyper sane thing is, well, I think it's mostly ruined, but I think if done well, could be a really interesting thing. But for the version I'm talking about, it's just not necessary. Some of the creepiest, freakiest weirdos that I would be the most terrified of, their intelligence is not what's their intelligence isn't what's freaking me out. It's I don't know if this person is actually going to hug me or literally stab me. Can't tell. Like, they've been friendly,
Right.
but they could stab me and I can feel it in my gut that they might, but also they've only been nice and they could hug me and I really can't tell.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's actually kind of one of the kind of what I think the kind of Joker that Heath Ledger kind of went for.
Yeah, I
was
agree.
He walked in and he was being friendly, offered a proposal. They didn't want it. Someone walked up to him, so he stabbed the pencil through his head, and then just
Yeah.
kept going,
Yeah,
like nothing
yeah.
ever happened.
That was crazy freaky. It was that kind of thing where it was just like the suddenness and I was like, ugh! Like, I know,
That's what I meant when I said a switch.
Right.
yeah, I agree with the switching thing wholeheartedly, like 100%, because I've
not-
met people like that.
Not a switch, because okay, I think the Joker is the best part about him is he's not really any kind of extreme in any kind of crazy. He's a very nice balance of a lot of different types of crazy. Because if you go extreme to the switching personality and stuff like that, you get that one movie, Split. Yeah, have you seen Split?
I don't think so.
Oh man, you should see Split. Anyways,
Oh yeah, we keep getting told that actually.
Is that one of the Shyamalan ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It
Yeah,
is.
I need to see all three of those.
it is
actually.
outstanding. I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you those who are listening, if you know what I'm talking about, that's a pretty extreme example of split personalities. Mm-hmm. Then if you have hit extreme OCD, then it's just boring, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's not that great. But
Well, so I'm interested to hear what your version kind of sounds
I've been
like. 'cause
thinking
we've all
about it
kinda,
just as you
dropped a
guys have
little.
been talking and kind of thinking about like my different versions of this and sort of what I would do that I feel like maybe I would be able to write well based on some of my own like favorite characters. And I think I would actually want to try doing kind of a more low-key Joker personality-wise. I would kind of want to do, I think my summary of it would be the straight man Joker. I think might actually
What?
be interesting.
Okay.
Which is actually instead of throwing out the hyper sane thing, actually I've been trying to think of like how would I actually make that look in real life.
Sure.
And so I'm almost thinking like imagine if Jason Bateman played a Joker.
The English action
No,
star?
Michael Bluth from
Oh.
from Arrested Development.
No, I don't want to imagine that.
I don't know.
Like picture that kind of person though.
Yeah, okay.
As that sort of and so
know
almost
what you're
like you
talking
would
about,
see
though.
him like even looking kind of the same, but he would act like snarky, like the kind of character in the shows that always has the smart remarks to make, who's actually like funny because he's always like one step ahead of everybody. Almost like Jeff Winger, even almost a little bit like every show has one of these
Yeah.
guys. I would almost be interested in seeing that version of the Joker, where like he seems to make more sense just because like it almost feels like you're on his side because he's calling out how ridiculous everything is,
Right.
in a weird way.
That's the Joker. That's the appeal of the Joker, right?
But presented as kind of that traditional straight man look that because it's usually very popular as like the leading man personality, right? In a lot of movies, the hero is the one that is like constantly making quips.
Yeah.
And they're sort of like looking at everybody else like, what are you even doing? Why are you being so ridiculous? You know, like why like this is all silly and pointless. Why are you guys acting the way that you are? Like he almost feels like they're calling other people out on their crap. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be interesting to see a version of that is, because of the way that he's because of that mentality, is so distanced from everything else mentally that the uncertainty of his actions actually comes from the fact that you can tell he's not on the same mental like playing field as the rest of you. Not that he's higher than everybody else, but he's just not there. It's almost like
that's kind of what I was talking about.
Like how you know a really rich person and a really poor person just do not see things the same way.
Okay.
Right.
It's like someone who's just so disconnected from how everybody else lives that it's like, I actually don't know what you're going to do because I don't know what is logical to you.
You mean like Trump?
It might be yeah, I mean, like Trump is a good idea of like that disconnect, right? It's like, I don't even get how your brain's logic functions.
Interesting.
So you could do anything and it might seem normal to you and then screw everybody else over.
Interesting. Yeah, so the thing about the hyper sane that I think I specifically don't like is I don't really know what it means, I guess. I have met insanely smart people.
Maybe I can explain this. So
sure.
The hyper sane is that he is that's kind of the point, is that no one can know what it's like because no one is that smart.
See, but I think
that's why they make him crazy.
I think
in a way we would understand. He's not right.
I think
he's not correct.
I think that it's a writing mistake to make someone so intelligent that even you can't even write how intelligent they are, because then their intelligence isn't properly defined. It's like, he's hyper sane. I can't tell you how sane, but he's so sane that like I can't even write how sane he is, because he's ahead of me even, because I can't. If they wrote the concept that he was intelligent about, then everyone would be able to grasp then, and then he wouldn't be hyper sane anymore.
That's kind of the fun with comic books, though, is that in comic books, people are typically really fucking stupid. But so when you make a character that is normal and calls people out on their bullshit, they look smart. Take Deadpool, for example. Okay. Deadpool looks very... He's obviously very stupid, like, as in his jokes, like, he's very lowbrow, but he's, in comparison to most of the people in his films and in his comic books and etc., he looks like the smartest person there because because everyone else is comic book smart. That
is the writer trick, right? You just you can't write anybody smarter than you, so you just lower the intelligence of everybody else collectively below the main character.
Yeah.
And then you make that work. Which is why that's what I mean by I think it would be more interesting if he just has a different internal logic than everybody else rather than this I think the reason the hyper sane thing comes across as so edgy is because of the superiority aspect of it. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, guys, you don't even know. He's just like so much like more woke than the rest of us, right? Like that's sort of the whole
I think
thing.
it comes from the idea that people try to relate to it. They're like, this is how I feel all the time.
Right, yeah. And then because it's too subjective. That doesn't exist in real life. There isn't like a linear scale of being able to like understand things around you. Right? Yeah. It's just not how that works. There's different perspectives. And so if
there is absolutely a scale though. There is a scale.
No, there's not really.
The scale that you're talking about for understanding the world around you is called pattern recognition. And that's where you get people like Einstein and Stephen Hawking.
But that's one very specific type of intelligence. There are many different categories of intelligence.
There's
and ways
also
people
nothing...
can be smart, and that doesn't mean that one person is superior because their pattern recognition is better.
Right, and that's why we have things like we have IQ, we have EQ, we have street smarts, we have stuff like that.
I mean, animals can arguably be smarter than us in different ways because like pattern recognition is a human thing, but like not all animals have that, but they're still way better at other things than we are.
No, actually, in fact, no. There's actually... You could probably find an animal that is smarter than us in almost everything other than like reasoning. But as far as pattern recognition, actually, which is funny because that's what we've used for so long to measure intelligence. Vsauce, Michael, on his channel, he on his paid channel. Yeah. He on Minefield, that's what he calls it. He actually he went to a zoo where they do experiments. With chimpanzees. I believe it's chimpanzees or some kind of monkey. Yeah. Or gorilla. Sorry. I don't know the exact etymology. I'm sorry. Or terminology.
Are they actually better at it than we are?
They are extremely good at pattern recognition. So much so that they can literally see a flash of buttons. Like, it's kind of like the little...
like a Simon game.
Like a Simon game. They'll see it, and in a fraction of a second, they'll see it, and then they'll immediately copy it. No matter... Like, it'll be like 50... different like things, and Michael was able to like kind of try to do it. He eventually like after the third like one where it got up to like 5 or 6 I believe or something like that. Yeah. Different stages. he was blown out of the water. Like,
so pulling it back. So the reason I've been thinking about it. So the reason that I think that hyper sane. The reason I would throw it out is one. It's not scary. There's no element of it that makes it freakier or that enhances the Joker and who he's supposed to be, in my opinion, in any way.
At least as a villain.
Well, okay,
it makes him stronger as like a self-insert character for cringy.
No, it does. It
neckbeards,
doesn't though. For that specifically, but hyper sane and intelligent write the exact same way. So he could be all the things he's good at, all that planning, all that like pre-thought about everything, that like 8 steps ahead of someone. That's just smart. You would just describe that as an intelligent character, but having him as the descriptor of hyper sane is like bringing it to a level that makes him. I think it kind of like drowns him out as an actual interesting character because it's attempting to like. It's such a hyperbole of just a very smart character. You can keep him smart, and you should, I think. But
I mean, no one. Okay, so no one says hyper sane since like the comics. It's obviously a stupid term. But he is hyper sane. That's kind of the point.
But it doesn't.
That's why he's so crazy.
I think now people say it. I think if people actually say it more clearly now, which highlights what's wrong with it, which is there's all those "I'm 14 and this is deep" posts of like, no guys, the Joker is the one that was actually right.
But how does
everybody
else was wrong? I think that's a bad stigma. Hold on. I think that y'all are leaning way too much. Y'all are leaning way too much into the stereotype of the audience and not understanding that having a character that is extremely intelligent and one step ahead of his ahead of the protagonist, and also wields because of that a lot more power than the protagonist, because knowledge is power, is absolutely an interesting plot. Now there are a lot of people that toxically lean into it and think because they want to project it onto themselves and stuff like that. However, that kind of mentality that it's not a good character plot is clearly wrong because it is absolutely very popular.
I think it's the term the hyper sane thing is the thing that doesn't. It just doesn't mean anything. It just means that there's a philosophy that the person like I haven't heard anybody use the hyper sane descriptor before you mentioned it.
Right.
But I have heard a lot of people talking about how like the Joker is actually like has the intelligent one, the smarter one. He's the one that can like that has it down right, you know.
Right.
And that just means that you have some kind of personal philosophy that matches up with that villain. It doesn't mean that he's somehow like it's not intelligence. I think that's what you're saying. You're splitting intelligence from this weird sanity.
You're not supposed to relate to the Joker.
Let me explain it a little bit. I think the thing is like one hyper sane doesn't exist. However, what does exist are people who are so smart that their ability to function starts to get hindered because they have to think about things differently from like an intellectual point of view. It starts to cloud their ability to empathize or have certain emotions. So that does exist, and we can pull.
It does not. That does not exist. That is a media stereotype. There are
definitely people who
are
the
smartest people in the world. Manage to function just fine in society and are usually some of the most charismatic people.
That's a different type of person. I'm talking about the type of person who has.
That's correlation. That's not causation. They're not that way because they're smart. They just happen to they have social anxiety. They have social issues.
No, I'm talking about things like there are actual autistic children who can paint like hyper realistic paintings by the age of 3 because they are a type of intelligence that is being emphasized, and while that is being emphasized, they are lacking in other skills like things like autism. Empathy. That is autism, yes. but autism exists on a spectrum, which means there are people who are still incredibly intelligent and that lack the ability to be like empathetic. And this is the reason I'm pulling this as the example is because that's kind of where the Joker is coming from. He is so incredibly intelligent that it is like the determining factor about him. And like you said, it makes him crazy, but that doesn't actually exist. The way that it does exist is that there are people who can be crazy intelligent, that it is their primary thought process, which means that their emotional thought processes aren't the first thing that happen, which tends to have problems, and people can come across as like rude or deceptive.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Right, but so why?
Yeah, but Mark Zuckerberg is like a really, I guess.
But why are you holding the Joker to a realistic standard? Whereas it's a superhero movie where you don't
always have to hold him to a realistic standard, but if you go too far in one direction, so much so that you can't even write it well, then I think it's a writing problem.
I think the Joker's written perfectly well. I think that's the point.
But he can't be any smarter than a normal person.
The lore, the idea is that he is so smart that to everyone else, including the reader, he looks crazy.
Okay, but
Here's the thing.
Wait, let me ask you
in
a
the
different
same
question.
way that it's ridiculous and it's hard to write, but it's also really hard to know exactly what a man who wears a bat suit and has gadgets that can't possibly exist.
Don't even get me started on Batman.
Yeah,
That's
but that's my point. Is that that's the world that they live in. That's the lore that's set. How they want to present it is up to them because there's no way to really present. That's the same thing with science fiction.
Wait, I want to back it up. You said something like he is so intelligent that, but then you ended it with that the audience something. But instead it should be he is so intelligent that what? What are the actual consequences of him being so intelligent and that's about who he is? Like,
sure, the consequences of that, as far as the writers try to portray.
Yeah.
Well, I would
are
as a reminder. This also depends on the writers. That's sort of what we're talking about.
Absolutely, but the general.
I'm asking him about what he's
general
talking about,
direction they tend to go is that he is so intelligent that I know we've said this a million times so far, but that he is two steps ahead. And that also that he seems to do things chaotically. Whereas,
why does the intelligence correspond with the chaotic though? That like those aren't
because we see it as, at least this is how it goes. Again, this does not exist.
Right.
Just like warp drives don't exist, just like any other science fiction or science fantasy object doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's something you try to use what does exist to portray a concept that doesn't. And that's kind of where they go with that, is that he is insane and that he is so intelligent that everything he does looks chaotic because we just don't understand. It's a vague concept. It's not perfect, and it's not something you can dissect
think that it's
get a
bad
proper
writing.
answer.
I think this is why that version of it doesn't work as well as some of the other ones. Then personally, because I think if you were like saying that.
Well,
he's always one
all of
step
them are
ahead,
hyper sane,
and he's smart enough to. But this, what you're talking about, is not presented in every single one of them, because in a lot of them you can go back and.
Jared Leto's isn't.
I'd argue that Jared Leto doesn't. Just
well, we haven't seen all the footage from that. I think he would have.
I mean, we're talking about what we have, which is the movie that exists.
That's, yeah.
But I think the idea of it being this like so intelligent that we can't keep track of what he's doing means that if we took enough time, we could actually keep track of what he's doing. He might be ahead of us, but eventually you could go like, okay, now looking back on it, here's the plan that you laid out.
See, I don't even have a problem with that.
I think it's usually used. Well, yeah, that would just be he's really smart and he's ahead of everybody else. There's tons of characters like that. There are characters that do that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah, but you're talking about a different thing. The thing that I get caught up on is he's so intelligent that he's crazy.
Right, but you gotta remember, he's not the main character in any of these movies.
Yeah, but he's crazy and he's intelligent, but he's not so intelligent that he's crazy, because it starts to make his crazy not make any sense, and I think it makes him less of a freaky character when you try to correlate his intelligence with his insanity. Like, and that's why I think it like drowns out his craziness, because the idea is like, you know, deep down it's actually just that he knows way more of the universe than anyone else could, and I think that that's why it should get thrown out. Is because it's like his insanity is tied into his intelligence.
I think it's the opposite, because I think that his intelligence is specifically what makes him
I feel like
scary.
we're going in a loop on this one topic a bit
That's
now.
true.
Right.
But I think
it's been
so too.
at least 10, 15 minutes on this one thing.
I'll just say one thing, is that there's other characters, like I mentioned briefly earlier, Palant. Mm-hmm. If you take away the intelligence and just leave the crazy, it's not fun. It's not entertaining, and it's just stupid. If you have to have the intelligence, because there are other characters, for example, Palant from Bones, I believe, where he is not funny, he's not crazy, he's just extremely intelligent. And it's very interesting. He's actually one of the most loved villains, I guess you could say, in Bones. That whole arc is one of the best in the entire series of a relatively good series.
Bones is great. Bones is so good.
Yeah, and it's the intelligence that makes him scary, because he presents such a threat, because you can't stop what you don't see coming.
Sure.
And
so I will disagree.
That's why he's able to. That's why the Joker. That's the thing that makes the Joker extra scary, is that he is crazy,
right? To
the point where he has all this information. He probably, very likely, knows who Batman is really, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't expose him. He doesn't go after him at home. Usually, he doesn't use all the information that he has against him. He just wants to play.
Yeah, no, so I disagree with a lot of what you said, but I do think we should move on.
Yeah,
because
I do.
I think we have been
having.
having.
You want to say something else, or are we gonna?
No, it's basically the same thing.
Okay, well, I think everybody we keep making just kind of the same points over and over, but bringing it back around to something more
expanding on the
tangible,
same points over and over.
Kind of. I'm not sure it's going to come across that way.
That might be true.
And to bring it around to something more tangible, now that we've pretty much established what we think about what makes a good Joker, what are everybody's favorites out of the ones that actually exist? Because there are so many different variations. What is your favorite existing depiction of the Joker?
Joaquin Phoenix in the trailer for the Joker.
Yeah, the newest
yeah,
one, really?
legitimately. Yeah, 100%. I think John does have some validity in saying that keeping the Joker scary relies on not revealing the backstory.
Just not knowing where he came from.
However, I also think that there's a very good argument to be made otherwise. I just never thought about I never thought about that, and that's a good point. But after watching the Joker trailer, I was like, this guy's scary because he's unpredictable and you can't read his emotions well, and he can't read his emotions well, and he knows what he's doing but also doesn't know what he's doing. But the biggest thing is he looks like someone that you could run into, but also you would sit next to him on a bus and feel bad, in your soul. It's just this thing that happens when you sit next to scary people, but you don't know why. Maybe this isn't for everybody. I know I get this, and I think that you can convey that character well, and I think that trailer does a really great job, aside from the backstory, which it seems like mom issues, I guess. I don't really know. I can't
watching him
100%
break
tell.
down, though, too, because I feel like that
There's
don't get me wrong.
the breakdown.
It'll be interesting, but it will, in the long run, ruin the character.
Okay. I am curious to see where it goes with that, and I can't tell
Which
what kind of movie it's going to be
ruining
either.
IPs left and right these days, so...
I mean, well, I would argue you can't ruin anything. It doesn't actually remove the existence of anything that came before it.
I mean, that's fair, but it can if it's canon, because...
Canon is bullcrap.
Yeah. So
this can be another topic.
So what do you think about the new Star Wars?
This should be a topic for another podcast, actually. I'm
going to write it down.
Canon is bullcrap should definitely be a topic for a podcast.
Well, yeah, because one, I inherently disagree, so
what
do you
think about the new Star Wars movies?
No. Okay, wait. Hang
we
on.
can go on slight tangents. Right?
No, that's a big tangent. What do you think about the Star Wars movies?
Actually, so wrapping back around, favorite existing Joker, John.
Favorite existing Joker. Sure. God damn, that's hard. I guess I'd have to say Jared Leto for appearance.
Okay.
His costume
his physical
design?
appearance, yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. That's
interesting.
an unpopular opinion.
I don't agree with that.
I think it's I like it because it's a bit more modernized.
Yeah,
and I like seeing characters evolve. I get that it diverged a lot from what is normal, but it was definitely more true to the original than. In fact, his Joker in general, I don't think any Joker has deviated as far from the actual Joker as much as Heath Ledger's.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to deviate so much because he wasn't bleached, he was painted white like a normal clown. He had scars on his face instead of
that was new.
He his personality was a lot more lower, a lot more lower tones.
Yeah,
a lot more sinister. He didn't laugh at all, except for the fake laugh, really.
So wait, your favorite is Jared Leto's, you think, in portrayal?
In looks, I like that he's more modernized, yeah.
Okay,
I definitely like it a lot.
That's interesting.
But at the same time, I also very much like... I think Dr. Draken kind of ruined the old Joker for me, honestly, because anytime I look at the old Joker now, I just see Dr. Draken.
No, but, sorry.
Because it's just the parody.
So, okay, I think it's interesting, just to talk about
Mark Hamill's voice, absolutely the best, hands down best Joker, Mark Hamill.
Okay.
It's interesting because... It's interesting that you say you like the visual appearance, because the visual appearance of of Jared Leto's Joker, I think, is the most defining thing that shows that he is not actually hyper sane. He has something he's damaged right across his...
Okay.
So
the actual tattoos themselves, not so much of a big fan of.
I love the tattoos for this character design specifically because it looks like a lunatic would do that, and only a lunatic would pull off damaged on their forehead and still freak me out.
Well, because what are you gonna do? Laugh at him?
Yeah, right.
I think
but it doesn't seem like a smart idea. Like, it doesn't seem like someone who's so hyper intelligent gets like shitty tattoos.
So here's what
I just think it's interesting that you
Right.
I don't disagree.
I think I like more of the fact that he was bleached and had kind of he had the Joker look where it looked like he fell in the vat of acid. And that he was slender.
Okay,
but he got rid of the suit. Was kind of my where I was going with that.
Yeah, good point.
Not necessarily the tattoos, or the grill. I did like that he was more modernized again, but not necessarily. Those particular parts weren't my favorite. Were like better than.
See, because again, the grill thing does not remind me of someone who's like.
Yeah,
like
he was
smart,
a bit too,
right?
But it does make sense though, because he is
correspond.
in the crime world,
right?
That's true, yeah.
And in the crime world of New York, no less.
No.
I'm sorry, Gotham, but
Chicago
basically,
it's usually Chicago. Actually.
Is it?
Gotham is almost always filmed in Chicago in modern movies. I don't know why.
Huh? Well,
Chicago's garbage.
Whatever. Big city, big dark city.
That's interesting. Okay.
So,
So Kyle, you should say your version.
I think I have to go with Heath Ledger. Which actually, based on everything you just said about Heath Ledger, that's probably why.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you just said, he diverged from the Joker. That's probably why I like him, is because he's the most different from the traditional Joker.
But he is such a good Joker, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
the fact that
it's it's not like an uncommon opinion to have that Heath Ledger was the best one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But no, I actually do. I think he's actually closest to the one I described, of that sort of like almost like a straight man character, where it's like. He's the do I look like I have a plan Joker who clearly has a plan the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
I think that's why I like him, is because he feels very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like that aspect of being able to like I can catch peeks behind the curtain and see the actual person behind the weird caricature, I guess.
I agree.
So I like that version of it.
I think as a written character, Heath Ledger's Joker is just like undisputably one of the best written characters.
Yeah,
however,
very much.
Even
it
if you
is
ignore
so
and well
strongly
played.
it is so strongly tied into a part of culture that I hate. I mean, it just spawned this type of person that was like, wow, bombing a hospital, what a brilliant idea, and like I need a bunch of guns.
I've never met anyone who thought that.
Oh
What?
no, Heath Ledger's Joker was like, it was like a Punisher movement, but like
It
like
sounds to me like you
quadrupled.
don't really dislike the Joker. It sounds like you really don't like Joker fans.
I didn't say I dislike the
This
Joker.
is tying back into our last podcast, actually, which is there's definitely
dislike Harley
overlap
Quinn.
between Joker fans and people who have Punisher bumper stickers. Like that is there is an overlap between those two fan bases for sure.
Yeah, because they
It's a bit
think,
judgmental.
You know what it is? It's the people
true.
who think they're hyper sane. The people who think they are that way are the ones that that have Punisher stickers and Joker stickers at the same time. Like if
Yeah.
you're a fan of them,
I don't own any
That's
bumper
cool.
stickers, so
I know, actually,
and we're friends.
I've always
so.
said bumper stickers tell me exactly why I won't like you.
yeah.
Boo.
Like,
I've thought about getting
I thought-
thought about getting an army bumper sticker, but I'm like, I don't need to tell everyone.
I want a bumper sticker that says I didn't vote for Trump, just so people know. I feel like it's something that I could.
But see,
I also
that's
want a
kind of the
shirt.
same.
because you're the kind of person who would argue about that with someone in public. Like there's definitely like a certain, like if you're putting bumper stickers in your car,
I don't actually think that bumper sticker starts an argument.
No, it doesn't. It just
think-
identifies you as the kind of person that would probably start an argument.
It depends. I wouldn't start that argument with a stranger. If I was in public with a friend and they brought
But
it
you'll
up, then
flash
yeah.
it to them as you're driving behind you.
No, I wouldn't argue about Trump. I would say I didn't vote for him, which, like you said, when you read a bumper sticker, it conveys something about that person very clearly.
Yeah.
That is something I would like. I wear the shirt too. I'd wear the hat also, but they just don't make the I didn't. I just want people to know that I didn't do that. I feel like that's really worth saying. Now, you could say the same thing would be like wearing a shirt that says I'm not racist, but that makes you look guilty as hell. I feel like a I didn't vote for Trump shirt really.
I'm not racist.
is just-
I know no one asked, but just so you know,
I'm just not okay.
Part of me almost wants that.
No, it's
that's kind of like the
guiltiest-
person. That's kind of like the person who has to tell everyone that they're vegan because they feel guilty about having eaten meat once, like last week. And the
Yeah.
week before that. And the week
well-
before that.
I think there's actually a Dimitri Martin joke about this where he's like, I like starting sentences with I'm not racist and then saying something that isn't racist at all. Like, I'm not racist, but you look really nice today.
Yeah.
That's not racist at all. I know. I said I'm not racist. You never listen.
Yeah.
Typical Mexican.
That's true. I get. Wow.
Credit to Demetri Martin for that joke.
That's a good one.
But, yeah, like so I'm not racist. Never is followed up by anything good.
No, but I didn't
Or I'm
vote
not
for
racist,
Trump
but-
is always followed up by something good because there's someone going, I didn't vote for Trump. And then you're like, oh, cool, me neither.
Because no one just says I didn't vote for Trump. That would have to be followed by I didn't vote for Trump, but
No, it doesn't.
and then that would be bad.
No, because what I'm about,
Well, I don't know. I guess there's
I'm
different
about
opinions.
this close to introducing myself as, hi, I'm Allison. I didn't vote for Trump, just in case you have to wonder about that, because this part of society is not my fault.
All right, any closing remarks on the Joker?
I'm so sorry. This was so inappropriate.
Do we have any conclusion, even if it's a kind of a facetious one that we just pull out of thin air?
I don't hate the Joker. I just think that they haven't.
I don't think I do either. Actually, after this conversation, I've decided I don't actually hate the Joker.
think-
Well,
Yeah,
if you
I
want
think-
something facetious, probably not facetious, but the Joker doesn't care what you think, and that's kind of his thing.
I think the biggest thing is I have a lot of I do genuinely care about the audiences of characters, because I think it says something about the way the character's written if the audience is garbage. However, the only thing I disagree with that on is Doctor Who.
Because it's something you like.
No, there's other things that I like. Well, there are other things that I like that I think the audience is toxic for, and I just try not
think
to
that-
associate myself with
I think anything popular has a toxic audience. It's not that.
But if your
that,
primary
having
audience is toxic.
I think it's the other way around. Having a toxic audience is a good sign of a character being really, really good. Because if it has a toxic audience, that means it's become so popular that it has a toxic audience. Because when things get popular, their audience gets toxic. And I've noticed that with a lot of different things.
I was literally, this is what my fight on Reddit was about. See, back around. Somebody drew 4 circles on a piece of paper, and it has
Maru?
What?
No, never mind. Learn Japanese.
Oh, no, someone drew 4 circles on a piece of paper, and it was put up in a very, very popular museum, and it has a huge, that piece of paper has a huge audience and following, because, I don't know, something started the minimalist movement, but arguably it's just a garbage piece of art. And why was I talking about this?
We were talking about fan bases becoming toxic.
Because things get popular or something.
Yeah, just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. And especially if something is popular and everyone who follows it, or like the primary part of the audience that follows it, is toxic, then there's something
I disagree
wrong.
with that. I think that if something is popular, it is good because it hit a lot of people. That doesn't mean you have to like it, and it doesn't mean you have to think it's good.
That's true.
Because being good is subjective.
So it should be
but
two
I think
things.
if something is popular, in other words, the majority of people who have been exposed to it like it, it is not objectively, but about as close as you can get to an objective opinion of it being good.
I agree. I also think that something being popular means it's probably good. However, I also agree that if something is popular and your audience is garbage, then it's a problem. There is a problem within it that exists. Like it's kind of like if you're reaching all of the worst people, why?
Right,
What are you
but
writing about?
here's
That's
another
That's the
reaching the
confusing
worst.
thing. I think
Like,
there's a disproportionate amount of people that get affected sometimes, because I think there are definitely toxic Joker fans for
Yeah.
sure, and it's a very clear connection, right?
Yeah.
But there's no clear connection on why all the Doctor Who fans suck. That show's about
They're more-
pacifism.
Right. But here's the thing, is that whenever you reach a large audience, if you reach a large audience and you get some you're going to get toxic people.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about society and the internet and everything is that the toxic people, and by toxic I mean the people that are negative, haters, blah, 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 racists, sexists,
Yeah.
people who are trying to manipulate this medium into their agenda. Those people are always the loudest.
See, you know what though? It's
Yeah,
it's about the type of toxicity though. Like people who are Doctor Who fans that are toxic, they are pretentious gatekeepers.
But here's the problem.
People the bad audience for the Joker want to shoot up schools or blow up hospitals or whatever.
But that's because they can work it into that. But there would be, if it was about anything else and it reached as many people, there would be a toxic fan base for it for some other reason.
I was actually the point I was going to make was I think it becomes more. It looks like more of a problem with something like the Joker or the Punisher because you can directly point to something.
Because they're villains.
You can be like, oh well, the people who watch the Joker are
Punisher's
bad
not,
because
should
the
be.
Joker is a an evil character and people are identifying with him, when in reality it probably isn't that much bigger of a toxic audience than the Doctor Who one is. It's just that...
Oh, see, I don't agree.
It's just that it's easier to be like, there's the connection right there. Whereas you look at Doctor Who and you're like, oh, those are just weirdos that don't get the show.
No, it's specifically about what they're connecting to.
That's because it's there to connect.
Yes, because there are no guns in Doctor Who, so there is no correlation between their toxic audience being the type of people who would want to shoot up a school, but there is for the Punisher or there is for the Joker. Like
yes, but if you're reaching everybody, you're gonna get everybody, and unfortunately, that includes the toxic people.
I mean, and then there's things like Stranger Things, which everyone loves and adores, but there's still probably no correlation between that toxic audience shooting up a school. Like it's
only because there's nothing to correlate.
Yeah, because everyone likes the Joker because he blows up a hospital.
But having something to correlate doesn't mean that it's bad.
There are probably people who like Stranger Things who also might have, like, some of the people who shoot up schools may have liked Stranger Things just as much as they like the
That's
Joker.
true.
Like, right? Like there isn't that's kind of what we're saying, is that there's just it makes it more obvious because of the obvious representation that the Joker provides.
Well, it's because of the things they say they like about it.
Right, because, but they're going to say that because it's there to say about. That doesn't mean that it being there is bad.
Well, it might mean that there is a part of that character that doesn't need to be there or is written specifically with those people in mind.
There's obviously edge cases. If you're trying to pander specifically to that audience, like if you made an entire show about the KKK, right, where it is the KKK and, you know, it's following them and they're glorified and all this stuff, that's bad, right? That's obviously bad. Yeah. And that's going to reach a very toxic audience. But if you make a thing where you have a KKK member, and Boondocks has done this, and you make him the butt of the joke, you make him the villain and all this stuff, you're still going to get those people that like that stuff, the racists, that are going to sympathize with it. They're still going to be there. And the connection is going to be there. It's not the fault of the media, though.
I mean, yeah, nobody made anybody do anything. But I do think it's about, like, the portrayal. Like, I think you kind of said it well. I think you said something like if you make a show about the KKK, and I don't...
And you glorify him.
Yeah, and you glorify him, but that's...
Right? Like, the Joker's presented as a villain, so people who like him aren't supposed to like him, right?
Exactly.
That's the idea.
I see.
Compared
He
to,
is
say,
wrong.
the Punisher, who is presented as the hero.
Now that
people like him
yeah.
because he's presented as the hero, and they're like, he's good because he murders bad guys. Whereas Joker is like, he's the bad guy. He's the one that the hero punches.
He's actually not conveyed that way in any modern media. He's not actually conveyed as, like, this is the bad guy, you shouldn't like him, that being the big,
he
like...
blew up a hospital and then burned half a man's face.
And both of you just said that's your favorite version of the Joker to some degree.
I mean,
my favorite depiction of a villain. That doesn't mean I like him. That's not what that means.
Yeah, that's true, but you're not the audience that is like, I love the Joker.
Like I said at the beginning of this, I find the Joker to be a very interesting character.
Sure.
I do not find him to be a good role model.
Yeah, and I think people that feel that way are a vocal minority. I don't think that is.
And that's also how I feel about Harley Quinn.
I am bringing it back around. I think the people who do think that way are the ones that consider themselves really intelligent, so intelligent that they do consider the Joker to be someone that they need to, like, feel represented by, because they know what it's like to be. That's why I would grab the idea that the Joker is a hyper intelligent being, and I would crunch it up into a little paper ball and I'd throw it into a basket and I'd light the basket on fire.
But if you're trying to specifically alienate a certain type of audience because you don't like it, and you're ruining what makes your character interesting in the process, just because a couple of other people, a small group of people, mind you, don't want them part of your audience. You can't choose who likes what you make. All you can do is take your creation, make it, and then whoever likes it. So
there was a lot to unpack there. So just two things, though. Just
as
two
a reminder,
things.
We've gone well over an hour, so if we can wrap this up real
quick.
We
will. But just two things on that very last note. One, you're right. You can't choose who watches your show, but you can definitely choose what you are trying to convey. And two, I don't think it's a necessary part to making him a good character at all.
Right, but here's another thing.
No.
What is it called?
No more other things.
No more other things. I was just responding to the last thing you said. So we'll move on from that, and we'll wrap it up with a pretty bow.
In conclusion, the best version of the Joker is going to be the one that John plays that me and Ian write in our upcoming sketch.
Yes, that is. I completely agree.
That'll be fun.
Not that we've completely dissected them, this character, so that you can then complain about John's character. You must like John's character.
John's his best. This is fact.
Or else I'll sick the Punisher fans on you.
I will do my best. Ethan playing Batman, though, is going to be outstanding.
Yeah, no, that's going to be so great.
That's really going to be a highlight.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that one.
I am Rachel playing Harley Quinn. Let's just make that happen at some point, because Rachel's Harley Quinn accent. It's outstanding, and nothing makes me want to just like saw off my ear slowly more than Rachel's Harley Quinn accent. So.
Oh, God.
All right, so thank you all for joining us. John, thanks for joining in on this one.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
We'll have you in another one at some point.
Yeah.
And we'll try to record these a little bit more frequently. We had a little bit of some downtime there where we just sort of, the bottom completely fell out of our production schedule, and we just did absolutely nothing for a month.
It was my fault.
But we're getting better now. It wasn't your fault. I was also, very depressed, so...
Also, make sure you go watch the warm-up video.
Oh yeah. Go if you go donate on Patreon, you can help fund these and all of our other projects, and you get access to an additional podcast that we record with the same frequency as this one. We do a warm up every single time, and we publish it as Oops All Tangents, and you can only access it through patreon.com/doormonster.
Usually slightly less controversial.
Slightly better paced than this one was, I think. It went out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it's usually just chit chat.
Yeah,
good chit chat.
It's just nonsense. So if you miss the ones where we just babble on about nothing, be sure to go check that out.
Yeah, you like it.
And we'll see you guys on another Superhero Chicken Fest in a couple weeks.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.